What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight. I didn't even write down. Oh, season 16, episode 4, Honeymoon, Hiccups. Y'all, I'm so worried about Eris and Jasmine. And what worries me the most is that Cousin Felina, there might be some validity in the things that she's saying, but we'll get to all of that later. Let's start off with Kirsten and Shaquille. So they finally made it into the honeymoon suite, and they're having a conversation. She's sitting on his lap, and he tells her that he's coming into this process wanting it to work. So he's trying to let her know that he's going to do whatever it takes to make it work. He's very committed to this process. It's not a let's wait and see kind of thing. It is, this is what I want, and I'm going to make this work. So when he says that to her, she kind of looks down at him and she's like, she does that sigh thing. And he looks at her. He was like, what's all that? And she says, it's a lot. She goes, this is a lot, and I'm just trying to take it all in. And then I guess he thought this was the right moment to ask her for a kiss. And it was a hard no for her. She says that she just basically wants to wait until they get to know a little bit better. Shaquille, if you're not picking up what she's putting down, honey, this is going to be the longest 3 months of your life. This is going to be the longest 3 months of your life. Now, what kills me about what kills me about Kirsten, see, I got Jasmine and Eris on my mind because I got so turned around with them. What kills me about Kirsten is that other than the intimacy part, as far as just like being, romantic and, very touchy feely, other than that part, the rest of their relationship so far is so good. Their conversation is good. The way they get along is so good. Everything about their relationship is good. 90% of their relationship is good, except for that 110%, which is going to probably be the 10% that completely destroys the rest of the 90. So from there on, it's the next. Oh, so they go to bed. She's had on regular pajamas, and I wonder if the brides bring 2 pairs of pajamas. If they bring a practical pair in case they're not really feeling it, or if they bring like a second pair, a more va 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 voom, kind of set, just in case they are feeling it. So Kirsten and Shaquille, it's the next morning. And in her confessional, Kirsten says, I know everybody wants to know, but no, we did not, consummate our marriage. Girl, you didn't have to tell us that. That's plain as day. That's obvious. We all knew that. The way that you like ducking and dodging his kisses and, trying to keep a safe distance, girl, we knew. Like, I don't understand why you had to point that out. So that's the next day is the day where they go meet each other's family. So she goes to meet with his friends and his uncles, and no, she goes to meet with his friend and his uncle, and Shaquille meets with her friends. So there weren't a lot of relatives around, but yeah. So how did it go? Oh, her friends. So when he met with her friends seemed to be, I guess, I don't know if they're told to be very critical and to be very hard on the bride and groom, or if this is just how they were, but I thought that they were a little bit hard. They did give him some good advice. About Kirsten. They did tell him that, in the beginning, it's going to take a lot for her to like really warm up to you, but, basically just kind of work on it. And then she's going to, I think the term that they used was she's going to blossom into a flower, or something like that. And so I don't know. I thought, yeah, they give him good advice. I don't know how they felt about him because I remember them asking him how they were asking him, how do you know this is what you really want to do? How do you know that you're in this for the right reasons or whatever? And he kept on saying how, I kept on getting signs. I kept on getting signs that this is what I was supposed to do. And then I think after that, they asked him something like, well, what if, I don't know what they asked him, but it doesn't even matter. Bottom line, it was fine. Okay, his meeting with her friends was fine. Her meeting with his uncle and his friends, everything was fine. So moving on from there, they're back at the hotel. And they're having a conversation, and Shaquille reveals to her that in the past he has struggled with, he didn't say depression or anxiety or anything like that, but he said that he would have internal battles, and he would go to sleep at night thinking to himself that he had no one to talk to, no one to share anything with, and he would just struggle silently. And Kirsten asked him, why didn't you ever tell your family that you were having these internal battles or these silent battles? And he tells her that he just felt like it was he wanted to show that he was strong, that it wasn't like very manly, or it didn't very strong of him to talk about his problems with his family. So he always had to put up this facade that everything was okay, that he was happy, that he was in a good place, when at some points in his life, he really wasn't. And she says that she has felt the same way. She says, I struggle silently too. So they're bonding over this. They're being very open with each other. And she says, this is something that we're going to have to work on, me and you. We're going to have to try to be more communicative and be more open with one another. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, they are hitting it in the right places all over the place, except for when it comes to intimacy. So yeah, I thought that was really, really, it was a beautiful moment. I thought it was a really beautiful moment for them to share that part of themselves with one another. So then at some point, everybody finds out where they're going for their honeymoon, and they're all going to be going to St. Lucia, Jamaica. Now, when they got the honeymoon basket, obviously, Kirsten was very excited, and then Shaquille has to break it to her that they're not going to be leaving with the rest of the group because he has to go to Jackson, Mississippi to give a presentation. He's still in school working on his doctorate, I think. And so he says, yeah, I'm going to be going to Mississippi. I have a presentation to give for school. And guess what? You're going to be coming with me. And, I was kind of shocked because I thought she was going to be able to go to Jamaica without him, so she can, leave with the group and at least get a day or two extra of Jamaica instead of cutting her trip short. She can get the full experience. But he was like, no, you're coming with me. I was like, wow. So we do see them in Jackson, Mississippi. She says that, she was stuck in the hotel all day long while he was giving his presentation. I was like, oh, poor Kirsten. But yeah, it's all going to work out in the end. Moving on to McKinley and Dominique. So Dominique is going to go. She says she's going to go with the flow. They're in the hotel room, right, after they got married. And she says she's just going to go with the flow. She's not going to have any expectations, and she's not going to try to, I guess, avoid anything. She's just going to go with the flow. She's feeling him. He's feeling her. Everything is good. So they get into bed and they exchange some kisses, and then they both disappear underneath the sheets. And I was like, okay, they got it on and popping. Well, coming to find out the next day, no, they did not get it on and popping. They did not consummate their marriage. So the next day is when they go meet with the families. Next day, Dominique tells her that she feels very optimistic about McKinley. And I'm happy that Dominique is feeling McKinley because I like McKinley. McKinley just seems, I don't know, like he's a whole vibe to me. I think he is, attractive. I think he is well spoken. I think he's interesting. I think he has a great personality. I think he's really nice. I like McKinley. And so the fact that Dominique likes him as well makes me happy because I don't want anybody raining on McKinley's parade. So she feels like Dominique hopes that Mac will, that's another thing. She's a real country girl. So they're in the bed having breakfast, and she's talking about how she likes to go fishing, and she has an entire freezer full of catfish that she herself caught and cleaned and cut. And he was just kind of listening to her, I don't know if he had a look of fear or apprehension on his face. And so that's when she says, I hope that he can accept the fact that I'm a country girl at heart. I hope that he can accept that too, because so far, I'm okay with Dominique. And, and I want McKinley to be okay with Dominique. I want them to work out. So from there on, she met with, no, he met with her grandmother and her aunt, and Dominique met with his mom's sister and his friend. Let's talk about the meeting that Dominique had with the mother and the sister and the friend. So Dominique tells them that her expectations were exceeded when she met McKinley. She was really, really, really happy with McKinley. So that was good. She lets them know, I like him. I like him a lot. He exceeded all of my expectations. She tells them that her mom has signed her up for Married at First Sight. I don't know if she should have told them that, because it makes it seem like maybe she herself wasn't ready, but her mom kind of pushed her into this process. The mom says that the whole process is nuts. And you can tell that mom's face, Lord have mercy, the mother's face is sour. The mother is not, and it seems like the more we see her, you're thinking that maybe she's going to slowly kind of warm up to the process, but it's like the more we see her, the more sour she gets and the more she dislikes everything. So the mom says the whole process is nuts. She looks extremely unhappy. Her face shows it all. Somebody asked Dominique, would she be open to moving to Michigan, because McKinley is from Michigan and his whole family is in Michigan. And she was like, that's going to be a very hard decision to make, because her whole life is in Nashville. Why are they talking about moving to Michigan? I don't understand. Why would they talk about that? It seems like they're just trying to throw salt in their game. McKinley meets with Dominique's mother, grandmother, and her aunt. They ask McKinley if he's ever dated outside of his race. He said that he has had relationships with white and Latino women. He said that he had gone out on dates with black women, but nothing really developed from those dates. And so Dominique's family, they're concerned about Mac being in a very serious relationship, i.e. marriage, with a woman of color. Some mixed people will call themselves one or the other, right? They'll say, okay, I'm black. I consider myself black, or I consider myself white, or they'll just call themselves mixed. They'll say I'm mixed. I don't know what Dominique refers to herself as, and so I might be switching it back and forth, but I feel more comfortable just calling her mixed, because that's definitely what she is. I don't know if she refers to herself as mixed or if she refers to herself as black or white or what, but I'm going to refer to her as mixed. So her family's concerned that he's never dated a mixed woman before. And it seems like to me, Mac is all in. He's 100% in. I'm not going to say love. He is very attracted to her. He is really feeling her. It seems like physically she checks all of his boxes, because, he said that he is all about and she's got that going on. And so, yeah, I feel like he has no issues with her. He hasn't expressed any issues with her at all. He's been feeling her since day one. We just need to work on, Lord have mercy, we just need to work on his mother and let the mother know. And I can understand, Max seems like a really great catch, right? Even her mother, I think it was her grandmother, Dominique's grandmother. She was like, she says, what did she say to Max? She says something like, how come you don't have anybody, or how come, you've gotten away, or something like that. Like, why aren't you in a relationship? You're a great catch. And he was like, well, I was in a relationship. I just came out of one, things didn't work out. So he's not like an untouchable grandma. He has been in relationships. They just really haven't worked out. But yeah, I feel great so far about McKinley and Dominique. Now, I'm hearing some rumors and some rumblings, and I try to avoid those articles whenever I come across these articles about what's been going on in this season of Married at First Sight. I try to just avoid them all, because I don't want to know what's going to happen. I just want to follow the process naturally. Let's move on to Eris and Jasmine. Okay, Eris and Jasmine. So they're in the hotel room. They're getting ready for bed, and Jasmine says that she feels very vulnerable without her makeup and, being all done up like a Barbie doll. But she looked the same to me. After she took off her makeup, she looked exactly the same as she did with her makeup. She was still gorgeous. So she came out with it, y'all. When she came out of that bathroom, what's his name? Eris was like laying back in the bed. And when she came out in that pink little getup that she had on, I mean, he quickly like sat up. He was like, hello. And so, yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like, I wonder if they bring like a comfortable pair of jammies and then they bring something a little bit more, suggestive, depending on how they feel about the guy. Because it seems like Jasmine has been feeling Eris since she's seen him on the altar. So she came out with it, but nothing happened. They did not consummate their marriage. They behaved, but they did cuddle, and the cuddling was fine. So the next morning, Eris is going to be meeting up with her brother and her father, and Jasmine's going to be meeting up with doom and gloom cousin Felina and his mother. So Jasmine is with cousin Felina and Eris's mother, and they asked her, what do you think of no, they asked cousin Felina in her little one-on-one camera time. They asked cousin Felina, what do you think of Eris's new wife? Why did this woman bust out laughing like it was the best joke ever told? She busted out. I mean, she was laughing so hard, she went completely off frame. She wasn't even in the frame anymore. She just went off somewhere laughing. You can just hear her cackling in the background. So when she comes back on camera, she says, it's so funny that you asked me that because you said wife. She says it's unbelievable and crazy. Like I said, I'm worried about Eris and Jasmine because I thought cousin Felina was just a hater, but I don't know, y'all. It seems like maybe there's some validity into the things that she's been saying so far about Eris just not being ready and that Eris is still for the streets. So she sits, what's her name? Jasmine sits down with cousin Felina and the rest of the crew, and they ask her about past relationships, and she says that she had just they asked her if she's ever lived with a partner, and she said that her last relationship, they did live together, and they had broken up 7 months prior. So then the question was, how do you know you're really over that relationship? Because it seems like you just broke up. The breakup is still fresh. And Jasmine's answer is, the breakup is a timestamp. By the time that the breakup happens, you've already mentally and emotionally broken up. So the lead up to the breakup is the real breakup, and the actual official breakup, I guess when y'all officially move out or whatever, that's just a timestamp to make it official. But your heart and your mind and your emotions were gone a long time ago. And so I thought that was a great answer. But cousin Felina was like, oh, you always give just the perfect responses to all the questions. You're like a true pageant girl. You're a real pageant girl. You're always prepared and you're always ready to give the perfect response, the perfect answer. Basically telling her, I think you're full of it. I don't believe you. You're a fraud. You're fake. And I don't buy anything that you're saying because you're a pageant girl and there's nothing real about you. Because this is what Felina is saying, from what we know, what we've seen of pageant girls, they're kind of trained to be like robots. They're trained to give certain answers. It doesn't matter how they feel about any particular question or any particular subject. They're trained to give the right answer that's going to garner them the most points so that they can win the damn thing. And that's basically what she was telling your girl Jasmine. And Jasmine sensed it. She clocked it right away because the look on Jasmine's face was like, you damn. And, she's like, no, for real. Like, you've broken up before and that by the time the breakup happens, you've already exited the relationship mentally. And, Felina just laughed her off. Felina wasn't trying to hear none of that. She just laughed her off. And I felt like, really bad for Jasmine because I thought she was being genuine. I thought she gave a great answer. So back at the hotel, Now, this is what I did like. Let me try to concentrate on the positives between Jasmine and Eris. So, when Jasmine walked into the hotel room, it seemed like she had just, walked in from having her little brunch with Felina and the crew. So, she walks in, and Eris, who's sitting at the table, he gets up and they give each other a hug and they give each other a kiss. And I liked that. I really liked that, that they felt comfortable enough to do that with one another. But I have to keep my good eye on Eris because, he's kind of starting to wild out. So, they sit down and they talk about the meeting, and he asked her, how did it go with my cousin Felina? And she was like, well, it went. She says it went. And she said that, your cousin Felina was basically calling me out for being fake, and I wasn't being fake. And, it seems like she's very, very overprotective of you. And Eris just kind of was like, yeah, that's my cousin Felina. So, yeah. That's just, yeah, okay. So she's gonna have a lot to deal with if this is the family that she wants to end up with. So moving on from that, let's get into Clint and Gina. We didn't get a lot of Clint and Gina. Clint says that Gina has exceeded all of his expectations. He's really pleased with her. And so they're in the hotel room, getting ready for bed, undressing. And when he takes off his jacket, I saw the lining of his jacket. Y'all, the lining of his jacket was so much more exciting than the whole ensemble itself. And I just wish that he would have picked a better suit, but whatever. We're past that. So Gina said that Clint was a 12 out of 10. I think she said that. I think I heard that correctly. She said that he was a 12 out of 10. So she seemed like really pleased with him. She said that she was super attracted to him. Clint says that he feels the same exact attraction for her. So it's like, okay, so far so good. And so the next day, Clint met with Gina's brother and her sister-in-law, and Gina met with Clint's friend and Clint's dad. And she tells them that she normally goes for tall, dark, and handsome. So she's not used to dating someone who is fair-skinned with light hair. But she says that she's feeling the attraction growing between her and Clint. She feels it growing. So, that's a good sign. And I think that's all that we got from Clint and Gina. We didn't get too much of Clint and Gina. I guess, they're sparing us for what's to come. Moving on to Chris and Nicole. Y'all, I feel like Chris and Nicole, a lot of people are in love with Chris. They love Chris. I think he's great. But y'all, I kind of see some red flags with Chris. I kind of do. I think he's like one of those. Oh, we'll talk about it. Okay, so Chris and Nicole. So they are... No, we don't. We already saw them get into bed. Nothing happened with them either. They said they didn't consummate their marriage. Chris and Nicole. So they're having a conversation about, where are we with them? They're talking about being late. Where were they when they were talking about that? Anyways, they're talking about lateness. And okay, this is a thing about Chris that I wonder if it's genuine. The compliments that he gives her. Is it excessive? Is it too much? He says to her, so they talk about lateness, and she says that, she's always on time. She tries to get ready super early, so she'll make it on time to wherever she has to go. And Chris says something like, well, it shouldn't take you that long to get ready because you're a natural beauty. So you don't need a lot to get ready. You're naturally beautiful. And she eats it up because Nicole is used to men not being emotionally available. She's used to men not being genuine and sincere. She's used to men playing a lot of games with her. So whenever, so she's not used to this. So for a man to be this open and vulnerable and just so easy with the compliments and all of that, she loves it. She's basking in this. And so, okay, so he said that. I was like, okay, that's cute. It even made her cry. That just shows you how she's not used to being loved correctly. She's not used to someone being genuinely nice to her. They're having breakfast. I think they were having breakfast when they had that conversation, because she said something about, she was getting tears in her eggs. So then after that, this is after they find out that they're going to Jamaica for their honeymoon. And so she says to him, so do you think that we're gonna consummate our marriage in Jamaica? Or are we gonna get it on and popping in Jamaica? And I thought he was going to match her energy and say something like, well, it's up to you. It's whatever you want. I'm here to serve you. Something to that effect. But instead, he was like, I don't know. He says, I don't know. He says, we'll have to see what happens. I was like, okay, you compliment her constantly. You just are showing so much affection for her. You show it like, you really like her, you're really attracted to her. So when she opens up the door for that, letting you know that she's down for the cause, she's okay with some intimacy, he kind of shuts down. And I'm like, what's going on, Chris? Why? Why are you shutting down whenever she brings this up? And this isn't the first time, because before, I think she was kind of being flirty with him. No, was it? No. Maybe I'm getting confused when he was talking to his groomsmen and they were asking him, if she's going to be okay with it, are y'all going to consummate the marriage? This was at the reception. And he was like, oh, I'm not here for that. I'm not all about that. Like, he shuts it down really quickly. Interesting. So, and then he says to her, so after he shuts it down again and says, oh, I don't know if we're going to be, doing all that, but we'll see what happens. And then he says to her, but you look very beautiful, but you will look very beautiful in the sun laying down next to me. He says the right things. I mean, it's almost as if, he's prepared to say the right things. You know how Felina kind of doubts Jasmine's sincerity? I kind of doubt Chris's sincerity. And I know that people love Chris, but I don't know. I like Chris too. I mean, I think he's attractive. He says the right things. I just hope that it's genuine. I hope that he's not like luring her into a false sense of safety. Then he begins to manipulate her, and then she begins to realize that he's just way too controlling and that he's just way too much. And even though she's starved for love, this might be the kind of love that she ain't ready for. So this might be that kind of love that suffocates you. And then she doesn't know how to get out of it because he's already lured her in and he's going to refuse to let her. I'm saying too much. Okay, let me just go step by step. So Nicole says that she tells him that she feels the romance heating up between them. So she's revved up and she's ready to go. Let's just see if Chris can like drive this in. So they're in Jamaica. Oh, so they arrive in Jamaica. And Chris tells her, they're sitting in the bed. They're having a conversation, a very, very intimate conversation. Chris tells her that the last time that he was on vacation, the person that he was with, he felt like she was a stranger to him. Even though they had been dating and it was his girlfriend, he felt like he was on vacation with a stranger. He says, I feel closer to you than I did with her. And she was my girlfriend, someone that I had known and developed this relationship with. So I'm like, is he serious or is he just really laying it on thick? Like I said, to lure her in into a false sense of safety and love. A false sense of safety, a false sense of feeling like she's being loved. And then before she knows it, she's in an oppressed relationship that she can't get out of. Okay. So I also got to talk about a conversation that she had with his brother. I hope I remember to talk about that at the end. So Chris tells her, so he talks about the last time he was on vacation, how the girl was like a stranger to him and he feels a whole lot closer to her. So already she's beginning to think, okay, we don't even really know each other, but he's feeling so closer to me than he did with the woman that he knew longer than me. Okay. So then he asks her, and I felt like this was a trap. He asked her, about her most significant or her most memorable relationship. And she talks about this very toxic. When she said toxic, I was like, girl, that is the meaning of toxic. She talks about this very, very, very horrible relationship that she was in when she was a whole lot younger. One of her very first serious relationships where the guy told her that she was lucky that he was even with her, that she was lucky that he was willing to give her the time of day because nobody would really want her, and that she should be grateful that he even looked her way and gave her a chance. And then he asked her, do you love me? And she said yes. And then the guy was like, well, to prove that you love me, let me burn this cigarette on you. And so she said, okay. And so then he took the cigarette and he burnt her on the shoulder. And she still carries that scar. And she said that the scar reminds her, I guess, of how not to be in a relationship. And so Chris is listening to her very intently. He's just taking everything in of what she's saying, making wonderful eye contact. And then he gives her, when she's done telling her story, he gives all the correct responses to make her feel safe, to make her feel like, okay, I'm in a safe space with this man. I shared something so personal and so painful, and he's making me feel better, because he said, I forgot what he said, but he said all the right things that you could think of after someone tells you a story like that. He says it to her. So then he kisses her scar. Okay. He kisses her scar. So all I'm saying is, it just seems, I want to believe, I'm not saying that for sure he's a fake and a fraud and I'm worried about it. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that I'm being very cautious. It seems like it's too good to be true, and things are happening way too fast. So I'm being very cautious with Chris. I'm definitely, for sure, giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm being very cautious with him. So when Nicole had met with Chris's family, when she met with his family, the brother said, I think I even wrote this down. The brother says to her, and I think even the father also chimed in. They said to her that you need to be very careful with him. And they said to her, if this relationship does not work out, he's going to be very devastated. And it's going to affect his self-esteem a lot. This was the brother talking. It's going to affect his self-esteem a lot. And then they also said, the father said, if you get any signs that this is not working. Oh, here it is. Here are my notes. Okay. The brother says that in the past, Chris has been consumed. Did y'all catch that word, consumed? That Chris has been consumed with his relationships, meaning that he was really, 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 really into the girl, really, really into her. I think consumed was a very polite way of saying obsessed. So when he said consumed, I'm thinking of the words clingy. I'm thinking of the words obsessed, possessive, extreme jealousy, insecurity. That's what I'm thinking. Like when he's in a relationship, he's like, he's in it. And this is how it's going to be. And it's how it's going to be forever. And the girl might be like, at some point, like, okay, maybe we need to kind of like give each other some space. And Chris is the kind of person, he doesn't want to hear that. So that's what the brother said, that in the past, he's been very consumed with this. To me, that would be a red flag. But to Nicole, because she's so starved for love, she kind of takes it as, oh, then I need to be very careful with him. I need to be gentle with his feelings. I need to be his protector. That's how she took it. So I think it was the brother. Yeah, the brother says that if this doesn't work out, it's going to be very devastating to Chris, and we're going to have to pick up the pieces. And then the father says to her, if you see that it's not working out, don't drag it out. In other words, the first signs that you see that this ain't it for you, nip it in the bud. Cut your losses real quick so that Chris doesn't fall deeper and deeper into this obsession with you. I'm not even going to say in love. So that he doesn't fall deeper and deeper into this obsession that neither one of y'all can see y'all's way out of it. So that's what I interpreted from the dad. When he said, hey, if you see that this ain't for you, girl, leave quickly so that he can hurry up and get to his healing. He can get to his healing journey quicker, because wow. I'm beginning to wonder if he lost at the tip of his finger, if it was truly from a work accident, y'all. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So I'm feeling kind of iffy about Chris and Nicole. I'm feeling very iffy. Now, Eris. Okay, let's talk about Eris. I don't like talking about the teasers that they give us at the end of the episode to show us what's going to happen at the next episode, because they always, play with your mind. They make it seem more than what it is, and the way they edit it and all this other stuff. It's a whole bunch of craziness. I don't want to talk about it because what you think happened is not what happened. But, let's talk about, okay, this is what I want to talk about. when they arrived in the lot, when they first arrived in Jamaica, I forgot to mention this about Eris. When they first arrived in Jamaica and everyone's in the hotel lobby, Eris talks about how he cannot wait to, to sleep with his wife. He was like, I can't wait. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing that. It's going to be on and popping. I just can't wait to get her in my bed and blah, blah, blah. And your girl was uncomfortable. Jasmine was uncomfortable. And someone made a comment that, Eris was just frothing at the mouth. He just could not wait to consummate his damn marriage. And that was worrisome for me. Okay, that was like strike one, because he said it in public in front of everybody else. And, you shouldn't say that with your girl right there next to you, because you don't know how she feels about you talking about that. It's not just you that's involved in this. She's a part of it too. So I didn't like that. And then when they showed us the teaser where he brings it up again, she kind of she looks like she's getting turned off, but you know how they edit it. You don't know if the face that she made was a direct response to what he just said. He could have said something like, do you want avocado? And she makes that face. You know what I mean? So, if it is what it seems, then yeah, I'm worried. It seems like he's only in this for one thing and one thing only, and he ain't trying to get to know her. He's just trying to hit it and quit it. I don't know, y'all. Anyways, that's my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. And if you like this content, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.